Beatrice stepped out of the shower and back into her bedroom dry except for the towel around her head. Pulling on a loose pair of grey track pants and a long-sleeve tee, she returned to the crystal and her grandmother's diary. A conduit crystal, yada yada yada, she half read out loud, pacing as she did so. Used to hold magical energy or combine spells, blah blah blah, is not good or evil and depends on its purpose, can be set up to do almost anything by someone with enough power. She concluded. Her grandmother often did this for artifacts she found. She tried to dissect them like Beatrice did. Not rely on old world-type descriptions from the Book of Shadows. I suppose, Beatrice mumbled out loud, running her hand up and down the surface of the crystal. Immediately her mind was back to the charmed ones. The power of 3, she could combine the sisters' powers and amplify them with her own. Her very own power of 3. She could let them finally retire for a normal life. Throwing on a pair of white sneakers and discarding the towel, Beatrice rushed out of the door. Penelope and Phoebe were trying to convince the other as to who it should be to go and get the next tub of popcorn when Beatrice came bounding into the mansion. So somebody sure seems in a better mood. Penelope laughed. I think I've got the solution to our final problem, Beatrice said, excited. Our final problem? Piper asked surreptitiously. You guys. Well, the power of 3. I think I've finally got a way for you guys to finally retire. Beatrice smiled. We tried that, remember? New identities. Phoebe stated. No, I've got a way to take your power, well, some of your power, and create a power of 3 that I can amplify with my own. So it'd be what? A power of 4? Penelope asked. Sort of. Beatrice shrugged. Well, let's take a look at it, Piper said with a lot of skepticism, drawing looks from Penelope and Phoebe. Okay, maybe somebody else should do it first. I'll do it. I should be able to tell if there's any danger, Phoebe said. So where'd you find this, Beatrice? Penelope asked as Beatrice passed the crystal to Phoebe. Some demon dropped it, Beatrice said as Phoebe unwrapped the oilcloth. Phoebe immediately dropped the oilcloth in fear. The crystal dropped onto the blanket and bounced beside the sisters' legs. It has to be a trap, Penelope said. At once the charmed ones reached forward to try and brush the crystal away from them. But as each of the sisters touched the crystal, they were immediately pulled inside it. In a flash, the charmed ones were trapped inside the crystal with each of their faces showing on one side of the crystal each. The crystal then began to levitate off the sofa and towards Beatrice, who cartwheeled away from the floating crystal. Rather than chasing Beatrice, however, the crystal appeared to hang in midair. In a dark haze, Luna appeared in the main room of the mansion. Well, that was easier than expected, she said, taking the crystal in her hand. Holding it by its peak, she placed the flat bottom onto the top of a silver mace-like wand, leaving the sisters' heads each facing outwards from each other. Beatrice looked at Luna. The large woman seemed to resonate power, wearing her all-black dress that stopped at her knees. Beatrice looked at herself, wet hair in ragtails and all, and felt very insecure. As you should. Luna smiled. Beatrice immediately knew that her feelings, as well as the crystal, were because of this demon. I'm not afraid of you, Beatrice said, stepping toward Luna. Child, I have the charmed ones. I have no need for you anymore, Luna said. Well, vanquishing demons is what I do, so you've got me until I free the sisters, Beatrice said. Most of what you've learned about the crystal is true, child, Luna mocked. It really does have the ability to combine powers. And now I have the power of 3. Luna pointed the wand at Beatrice, who was immediately frozen to the spot, as well as their individual powers. Beatrice was then levitated up against the ceiling. Luna turned her back as Beatrice was released and crashed back onto the floor.